Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am Nora Quesada, JSI Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean. And today, along with my colleague Anabela Sanchez, Senior Technical Advisor, we'll be facilitating today's session. For your information, JSI has conducted a series of blended learning courses, webinars, technical discussions, as well as in-person workshops on the management of health supplies in humanitarian settings. These capacity building activities are sponsored by the program Building Capacity to Improve Pharmaceutical and Medical Commodity Management in Humanitarian and Disaster Settings. This program is funded by USAID's Bureau for Humanitarian Assistance and conducted in collaboration with the International Association of Public Health Logisticians, IAPHL. The program supports BHA implementing partners to improve supply chain practices in their crisis response efforts. And today, we have the pleasure of having Shariful Islam, who is a country pharmacist for the International Rescue Committee in Bangladesh. He started as a hospital pharmacist in 2017 after finishing his post-graduation in pharmacy. He switched to humanitarian response and joined IRC as a pharmacy dispenser in 2018. And since then, he has been working with IRC in different positions of health and supply chain and ensuring healthcare commodities to clients in Rohingya and surrounding host communities. Sorry. In his role, he must ensure the right health care commodities are accessible to IRC clients whenever and wherever they need them. This requires that he visits and meets with clinicians, pharmacists, and supply chain senior management to ensure everyone is aligned with IRC vision, and with partner organizations and the host government to ensure appropriate coordination. He's also working on capacity development and strengthening health supply chain integration to improve coordinated approaches to manage pharmaceuticals. He's currently based in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh. In his free time, which I don't think he has so much of that, he reads books. Shariful?
Thank you, Nura and Annabella, for these introductions. And let me extend my thanks to GSI teams who make this possible to share our knowledge and experiences within the communities. Thanks.
Welcome,
Welcome
Shariful.
again, Shariful. I think that it is very important, the topic that we will discuss and share for a few minutes with you. And we really thank you for your time and experience that you're going to briefly share with us. Human resources, as everybody knows, is at the center of the logistics cycle because people move each of the components. In humanitarian assistance, supply chain management requires both skilled and committed human resources. So, in your view, Shariful, what are the key skills that someone should have to manage pharmaceutical supplies in this context? And did you have those skills when you first started?
Thank you, Annabella. To me, few core skills is required to manage pharmaceutical supply chain in humanitarian settings. The first skill I would like to mention is the technical knowledge about pharmaceutical supply chains, like how someone identify the needs, transform these needs into a supply planning, understanding the financial requirement of preparing those supply planning, basic understanding of procurement of health commodities, as well as basic understanding of storage and distribution of pharmaceuticals. Also, like someone need to have the basic understanding of documentation requirement for the organizations and donors for appropriate reporting and future forecastings. So this was my first skills. Second skills I would like to mention is the transparency. Like in humanitarian setups, ones need to be transparent to their clients, unbiased to their races, and respectful to their cultures, so that they can ensure the equal rights to all like clients. Also, they also need to transparent to the organizations and donors by following their policies, guidelines, and procedures. And thirdly, I would like to mention is the agility. like things in the humanitarian setups changes constantly, and ones need to evolve with the changing situations. To ensure the supply chain efficiently and quickly, a responsible person need to be agile enough to adapt the situations in changing environments. uh, Fourthly, I would like to mention is the proactiveness. It is better to plan for things ahead and put system in place for anticipate the changes. If I give you an example, is the COVID response, like having the buffer stock, start the communication with the suppliers, as well as like prepositioning the supplies was the proactive measures, which we like ensure the commodity security inside the organizations to help the crisis. Uh, Fifth, I would like to mention is the attention to details, like keeping good records, ensuring warehouse and stores adhere to good storage practice and distribution practice, a periodic review of stock indicators and reports. It helps to maintain the quality of commodities throughout the supply chains. Lastly, I would like to mention is the collaborations. Like supply chain is a collaborative effort, and therefore someone need to have the skills to work in a teams, engaging with other departments as well as like with the other partners and the host governments to ensure the right commodities in right place. If I say when I start my career in humanitarian sector, I have had the basic understanding of those skills throughout my educations as well as my previous experiences. However, over the time, I am learning a lot when doing the things in real life, and I'm getting more experienced over the time and confident every day. The challenges I am facing at my daily work and finding the mitigations measures have made me more strategic, and I feel I'm more mature in managing pharma supply chain now, considering my early days with humanitarian organizations. IRC also play big roles in my development throughout numerous training on procurement processes, quantifications, pharmaceutical quality assurances, as well as I have received a lot of suggestions and guidelines from my supervisor, from my colleagues, senior leadership team, as well as the IRC global teams. Like if I would like to give you an examples, like it's maybe in 2019 when the we are approaching to a sustainable like crisis in Rohingya refugee camps. Uh, Me along with my supervisor was discussing a common challenge, like we need to prepare a lot of stock and bin cards manually, like we need to write all the informations manually, and we need to engage one warehouse personnel, like a warehouse personnel was engaged for full day just only to write stock cards and bin cards. This was like a waste of human resources from like management sides. Also, the staff turnover was high because of these manual processes. Like my supervisor was wondering, like if we can like ensure these systems automatically, if there is any way. So we have sit and discuss a lot of options, and finally we came up with a small Excel-based solutions. That these stockers and bid cards can be automatically print out from these Excel versions, and this reduce a human direct manual human input in warehouse systems, and warehouse now can more participates like in the strategies and stock indicators. This was later than was implemented throughout like other country programs in IRC, who is managing pharmaceutical supply chains. Thank you, Annabella.
Thank you, Shariful. And what you just mentioned is so important to highlight the fact that human resources need the tools and the support to make their performance improve. So your example that you're giving is just one of many to say that human resources will be performing better as they are supported by tools and resources to do their job. So thank you for that example, Shariful.
Yeah, as you just said, Shariful, sometimes you build skills as you do the job. However, in humanitarian settings, both the supply chain and the people need to respond quickly and effectively to crisis. How do you suggest people get prepared or get ready to work in humanitarian settings? For example, what kind of training programs do you suggest they take or they have access to? And what resources should they tap into to gain this experience and knowledge required in this demanding work?
This is a great question, Nura, and thanks. I have touched few points earlier. However, we all understand the supply chain in humanitarian settings is slightly different compared with the stable development context, where supply chain need to respond quickly and effectively. Therefore, it is quite essential for everyone to understand the major distinctions between these two environments, and also develop the standard procedures and develop the standards understanding in each given context. There are several training courses available online, many of which are humanitarian focused, such as IPL and GSI e-learning centers. There are also many webinars available in the IPHL websites on these topics, which are easily accessible. At the training, I have participated few weeks back on managing pharmaceuticals and medical commodities in humanitarian and disaster settings offered by GSI was hugely beneficial in terms of getting theoretical understanding in one hand. On the other hand, it took me through a journey where I can learn through games and live discussion with the colleagues from like different countries who are working in the humanitarian settings. So this was really helpful. Thank you, Nura.
Great, great. Those are very good examples, and I we can tell that IRC provides that opportunity to the people who work for these organizations. So we appreciate your tips, Shariful.
So, and Shariful, what suggestions do you have for young supply chain professionals who have experience in this field but who want to enter in the humanitarian assistance work?
So I would say them to join in this fascinating world where there are huge opportunities to serve the most vulnerable from the front in like public health logistics. However, one should have the attitude to learn from others and from mistakes. One gets better through experiences. So thank you, Annabella. That's from my side.
Thank you, Shariful.
Okay, great. So Shariful, thank you so much for sharing all your insights and hands-on experience on the importance of having skilled human resources in supply chain management, especially in humanitarian assistance. Your, reflect, your reflections make me think that if we want to improve the performance of the supply chain, we have to improve first the performance of people by providing them with the tools, the knowledge, and to do their job based on standard operating procedures, as you mentioned, and clear job descriptions. Identifying gaps in performance and addressing them through ongoing training programs should be part of the capacity building strategy for any organization. Well, we have come to the end of this Facebook Live, and we want to thank you all for joining us today. In these difficult times, supply chains in humanitarian settings have become more important than ever, and we hope we have added value and knowledge to the work you all do in humanitarian settings with this session. If you have any questions during the session, we will address them in the Humanitarian Commodity Logistics Forum of IAPHL. You will also find the recording of this Facebook Live and other resources there. We would like to thank Shariful and IRC for their continued commitment to share their experience and learnings, and to USAID's BHA program for supporting this capacity building program. So see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you,
See you next
Shariful.
time.